Okay, picking up on question 35. How is the idea of freedom of the seas related to the U.S. entrance into World War One? So the principle of freedom of the seas basically says that neutral countries like the United States at the beginning of the war should be able to safely ship their goods around the world without fear of attack. Germany ends up initiating unrestricted submarine warfare and sinking American ships, and their use of this type of warfare violated this principle and helps lead to the United States getting involved in the war. 36. During wars, constitutional rights often get pushed aside. Which rights are affected most often? So basically, personal liberties, including freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and the right to protest, are often limited during wartime. 37. What were the background facts on the court decision in the case of Schenck v. United States? So Charles Schenck was arrested and convicted of a crime for handing out anti-war and anti-military draft pamphlets. He claimed his arrest and conviction went against his right to freedom of the speech, but the Supreme Court upheld his conviction, and basically the court said that what he did, because it was anti-war, posed a clear and present danger to the United States. And when speech poses a clear and present danger, it can be limited. What the court did was compared his handing out of anti-war material to yelling fire in a crowded movie theater, in the court's opinion, to put people in danger, and that speech can be limited. 38, what were Wilson's 14 points? So the 14 points were basically a statement of democratic principles and ideas that Wilson put in place that he hoped would be established across the world after World War I. Some of the key aspects of the 14 points were the idea of free trade, an end to secret treaties and secret alliances, freedom of the seas, national self-determination, which means that people basically get to make decisions for themselves about what their country is going to do, and the establishment of an international League of Nations to promote international cooperation. 39, in actuality, the only part of Wilson's 14-point proposal that actually got put into the Treaty of Versailles was the League of Nations. Number 40, how did the Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I, treat Germany? So overall, Germany was punished pretty harshly by the Treaty of Versailles. It had to give up some territory. Germany had to admit guilt for World War I. There was a disarmament part of the treaty that made Germany dismantle their military. Germany had to forfeit some of their overseas colonies. And finally, and most importantly, Germany had to make reparations or payments to all the victorious countries in World War I. 41, what were the arguments in favor of joining the League of Nations? So there are people in the United States who wanted the U.S. to join the League. They thought it would help prevent future wars. It would increase international cooperation and promote international trade. There were also people who did not want to join the League of Nations. So 42 summarizes their arguments. Basically, they said there were problems in America that we should address first. And most importantly, they did not want the U.S. to get drawn into another European war. Finally, 43. How is the rejection of the Treaty of Versailles an example of checks and balances? So the president, or the executive branch, has the ability to negotiate treaties, but the Senate, the legislative branch, has the power to ratify or approve these treaties before they go into effect. So President Wilson negotiated and signed the Treaty of Versailles, but the Senate was feeling isolationist and did not ratify it. So in this case, the legislative branch checked the power of the executive branch. So that is all for the Unit 4B review sheet. Remember, guys, the review sheet is a required assessment, so make sure you finish this up and submit it.